Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of CLX Foundry Live, where we dive deep into an amazing build and show you how to put yours together at the same time. Now, today is a very special episode because you saw it go live last week, but we have a PC giveaway with our friends over at AORUS. Now, let me tell you about how you're going to get into this. First of all, if you really want to jump into this, type exclamation giveaway right now in the chat. Now, when you follow that link, there's going to be lots of little instructions you can do, and you should do all of them, so that you can get as many entries as possible. Now, I know that those of you who've been involved in our giveaways in the past have been, hey, where's the codes? Don't worry, there's places to find codes. You can find codes here. You can on, today's Tuesday, so kick. You can find Thursday codes on the Twitch. You can find codes on our socials. That's CLX Gaming at YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. You might also find them in our Discord at discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can also find them on my stream. That's not important. Now, joining me right now from our studios in Wichita, Kansas, it is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and none other than Zach Killingsworth, our master builder. But, we have a special guest. Do you know who our special guest is? I knew who our special guest is. Welcome to the show for the very first time. It's Eddie, the social media and community manager from AORUS. Hello.
Hello.
I kind of wish I had an applause track.
Yeah.
How are you, Eddie?
Yeah.
How you doing?
How's it going, guys?
Welcome to the show. And
Thank you for having me.
as we mentioned before, first of all, everybody else, if you don't have a giant LED or a giant, just a bright AORUS sign behind you, you're not cool. That means Eddie is cooler than we are. But you know what's really going to be cool is us putting together today's giveaway PC. Yes, we've got pictures, but we pulled it all apart to put it back together once again. Now, let's start with, first of all, an amazing case. Let's talk about what's going inside this case. Paul?
All right, so going inside of this build, starting out with our processor, we've got an Intel Core i5-14600KF. To cool that, we've got our CLX Quench 360 in white. This is the new RGB cap as well. For our motherboard, we've got a Gigabyte Z790 AORUS Elite AX Ice. So you can see it at the front there, white PCB. That board looks awesome. It's going to go great in this build.
It does, truly.
For our memory, we've got 2 sticks of XPG 16 gigabyte DDR5 6000 in white. You can see it down there on the bottom left. It does have the RGB heat spreaders as well. For our storage drive, we've got a single 1 terabyte ADATA 700 gold M.2 NVMe drive. And for our video card, this is a first for the show and a first for me as well. We've got a Gigabyte RTX 4060 Aero. This is the OC 8 gigabyte version. For our fans, we've got 8 of our Game DS AOLUS M2 fans in white. They look great inside this case. Lots of RGB. It's going to look great. And then our power supply, we've got an MSI 850 watt 80 plus gold fully modular.
Nice. All right, so we're going to get started with this. First of all, can you do me a favor? I want to rotate that case around real fast so people can see the
Gotta see this back panel on this.
To be honest, it's wicked. I saw it and went, what? That's amazing! So.
Ready?
That is sick.
This looks so good. I'll put it right here.
I love it. Absolutely gorgeous. Such a fantastic image. I dig it. So, let's talk about for a second while you guys get the case prepped and ready. Eddie! Wow, ready and Eddie. Definitely rhymes. Here's the question. So I heard a couple different words mentioned, and I want to make sure that everybody understands what the difference between the brands are. So we've got AORUS and we have Arrow, all by Gigabyte, of course. So what's the two lines?
Actually, it's Gigabyte and AORUS. So
there we go.
Gigabyte is Gigabytes are consumer-friendly line. Very reasonable price. And then the AORUS line is the more high-end, extreme, enthusiast line. Basically, the overclocking, some of the special features like the ice line and the white PCBs. So that's the big difference there.
Well, I'm gonna be really honest. That white PCB is amazing. Everybody who remembers when we did my build, I put a whole bunch of white stuff in there. You know what I didn't have? A full white PCB on my motherboard, and now I'm a little jelly. So let's talk about this. This, of course, is our Z790 AORUS Elite Axe Ice. It's part of a whole new line of really cool stuff. It's all white, which I love because it shows color from the lighting inside the case. It just reflects everything. Yep. You've got incredible. Oh my gosh, I hadn't even seen the back yet. That's nice team up, fight on. I love it. All right, let's take a look at our I/O shield real quick before we go ahead and put that back down so you can see what you're able to plug into there. We have 4 USB 2.0s at the very top. Your Wi-Fi 6E is going to be right below it with its dual antenna. Then you've got 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2s, an HDMI, a display port, plus you've got your USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C. That means 10 gigs up, 10 gigs down. And we've got 3 USB 3.2 Gen 1s, a 2.5 gig LAN port, hello fast, and of course our audio out in the bottom, which some people use, some don't. It's only because we have graphics cards. We'll talk about that later. So, first of all, let's talk about these heat sinks. Man, so as a gamer and a content creator, one of the things that is super important to me is always speed. And you guys on this motherboard nailed it when it came to being able to add things to it. And all the joy is right underneath those heat sinks.
Yep. The thermal guard does protect your SSDs on the bottom, actually towards the middle. But yeah, you got a pretty big beefy heat sink at the very top to protect the MOSFETs and the chokes, going into the CPU for power. So it's a twin 16 +1/+2 phase. A lot of numbers, but still, basically means that your CPU is going to be, all the power is going to be delivered correctly, and nothing's going to fail on there. In terms of SSDs, right below on the bottom, you have the thermal guard, which basically protects your SSDs, and we have what we call our easy latch system. No more, little tiny screws that you have to fumble around with and lose. It's all push a button and basically just clicks in. Very easy to install and put back on and good to go once you have those in there.
And now we know who is also smarter than DJ. That guy. Okay. Honestly, you said MOSFET or MOSFET, or I'm going to be honest, I don't know what that word means.
Chokes and MOSFET's basically your power delivery. It's what the power supply delivers your power to the motherboard, and the MOSFETs and the chokes basically clean the power so that it goes directly to your CPU and runs smoothly. So there's no spikes or anything like that, or unwanted errors and stuff like that. So
it's like a built-in power conditioner.
Correct.
Okay, now I get what those words. See, thank you for explaining that, sir. Because Paul has always been.
Sorry if I get too technical.
No. No, Paul just is like, you're not going to understand it anyway, so I'm not telling you. What we did watch Zach just put in and put a little line of stuff on is our processor. This is an Intel Core i5 14600KF, which, Paul, what's that mean?
Yeah, so 14600, this is the i5 series, like you said. The K means it's unlocked, so we can't overclock it. And what the F means is it does not have onboard video. Now, on this gaming rig and most gaming rigs, you have a video card, so you don't care about having onboard video on your processor.
Gotcha. Perfect. Now, there's a couple of different variants of processors. For those who might not know what those mean, what are they?
Yeah, so we've got, like I said, this is our KF, so that K stands for unlocked. So there are K versions that do have onboard video. There's some applications where that, for like a workstation, and you're just wanting to plug in an extra monitor off your motherboard, you can do that. But with this one, this is a 14-core, 20-thread processor. We got 6 performance cores that have hyper-threading, 8 efficiency cores, and it's got a base speed of 3.5, and it will boost up to 5.3.
I love hearing those numbers because that now see Eddie, that's something that I understand. Like more power.
There you go.
The thing that Zach is putting on right now is part of our CPU cooling system. Now this is an AIO. It's a liquid AIO, which means technically you're getting yourselves a liquid cooler. I mean, to be fair, that's exactly what it is. We're going to be using the CLX Quench 360 liquid cooler. Paul, for those who might not understand what that means, if you're new, don't worry. No such thing as dumb questions. Look at me. Paul, what does that mean?
Yeah, so AIO stands for all-in-one. So this comes out of the box ready to go. You can see Zach's already got it all the way installed here. He's just plugging in his cables. So this already has coolant in it. Typically, most AIOs are going to come with 3 to 4 different sets of hardware to match your motherboard CPU socket. So we just grabbed the right 1700 Intel socket hardware for this, put the backplate on and the screws in, and you're good to go.
Sweet. Awesome. What other types of cooling options are there in life for PCs?
So the most popular ones, or the main ones, are going to be air cooling or liquid cooling. So air cooling is typically a block of metal with some fins cut into it and a fan on top to blow that heat away. And then with liquid cooling, obviously the most popular is these AIOs that we use, but there are open loop systems where we can custom bend tubes and get pretty wild with it. But these AIOs are the most common. That's what I recommend going with because they provide excellent cooling and they don't take a lot of time to install.
Copy that. I'm still jazzed about that white PCB. Look at that. Mm-hmm. That's so it's so on theme. Sorry, I'm gonna geek about it because I love it. Now we've got 3 fans on top of our radiator. These are 8 different GameDius AORUS M2 ARGB fans. You know them. I love them. I have them in mine. I dig it. They're wonderful. Paul, when it comes to installing fans, what's our preference for where you put them? Can you put like one up, one down, or what do we do for this when it comes to a radiator?
Yeah, so the optimal way to put your fans on a radiator is you want them in a way that's going to push air through. That's why we call it the push method. So you can see these fans are going to be bringing air in, pushing it through the radiator and out the top of this case where we will mount it. You could put fans on the opposite way. That would be pulling air through. That will work, but it's a little bit less efficient than having it push through.
And then, of course, you can do a push-pull if you're just trying to be extra.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you can have fans on both sides of the radiator if you got room in the budget, room in your case. It's a good way to do it as well.
And it definitely does make a difference. It's incredible. Now, as we're getting these all put on, I do want to point out that, again, the white PCB, I'm loving the diversity between it and the black cap on the white pump.
Yep.
It's just there's so much balance between there. So when did you guys start with the whole differentiation in colors for PCBs, etc.?
Well, we do have some that we introduced, and it's more of a gray color. And then we slowly started going into the white PCBs. Probably say about a couple years ago. That's when we actually started going full white PCB on some of the newer products. The Vision boards, a few years ago, like the 590 Vision boards, had that white PCB. It was more for creators, with the, inputs and outputs on the back of the board, more USBs, for them to use. And then, slowly started getting into the higher end, extreme, overclocking boards where like the AORUS line now has its own ICE line, and those are fully white PCBs.
Which I'm super jazzed about. The other thing I'm super jazzed about is what we're using for RAM right now, and this is 32 gigs. It's 2 16-gig sticks of ADATA XPG. This is DDR5 6000. Now, this is the fastest RAM that we carry, and the speeds with RAM they started very low. I'm going to be very honest. It was like basically double digits. And now we're at 6,000. So with 32 gigs, Paul, where can we go with this, and let's talk about channel placement.
Yeah, so 32 gigs is plenty to play anything out on the market right now with still having some overhead. So we're going to do two 16 gigs sticks in this. That way, if whoever wins this wants to upgrade, you've got 2 more slots to add in more if you wanted to.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to start with what's underneath some of the pieces on the board. Now, these are called heat sinks. Heat sinks help dissipate, obviously, the heat from certain elements. Our operating system is going to be going on a 1 terabyte AData Legend. It is a 700 gold M.2 NVMe, which is basically a very, very tiny SSD. Oh, what does that mean?
Yeah, so the M.2 is the form factor here. That's what Zach's got in his hand, kind of like a small stick of gum. So this is an SSD, solid state drive, so it doesn't have any moving parts. These M.2s are blazing fast, so your computer's going to boot up, in a matter of seconds. And any games that you have loaded on there, you're not going to have load screens.
We do have Pinky Guy coming in over from the far side. Actually, no, on the Facebook side, this is not the same PC. This is a brand new one, and it's our giveaway PC. So you're watching what you might win. That's a fun thing. Don't forget, if you have questions about any of the terminology that you hear here, please ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question at all. So please feel free. I've got look at that. Our first actual comment over on Twitter. I'm so happy about this. FWR, welcome. Glad to have you here. I see Kensu over there on the green side with all the rest of our friends. I dig it. Lots of fun. And Connor coming in over on the Facebook side. Hey, still loving my PC. I don't know if y'all remember, but y'all built mine. Heck yeah. Love it. Let's go.
Awesome.
All
Glad
right.
you're still loving it.
Now, as for our case, let's talk about this. This, of course, is our Horus, and it is our Horus NV5. I know it's NV5 white. When you're putting your hardware in, what you want to make sure is that you're also ensuring that you are, I would say, containing yourself from ever experiencing electrostatic discharge. Now, to do that, there's these little things called standoffs. Paul, what are standoffs? Why are these even important?
Yeah, so the standoffs are what that motherboard is sitting on right now. So they're these little pieces that screw into the backplate of the motherboard, and our motherboard sits on top of that. That way it's not making any contact with the frame of the chassis and shorting anything out. So you see Zach, he's getting out some screws here to mount this motherboard. Those screws are going inside the standoff. This is a great shot for it right here. That silver piece right there, that's your standoff.
Gotcha. Alrighty. So speaking of things that stand on their own or stand off, let's talk about some of the AORUS line of products, because it's not just motherboards. Let's be fair.
Correct.
Y'all make an amazing array of products. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yep. So along with our, motherboard line and our graphics card lines, we, do actually do monitors. We've been doing them for a while. And we just recently released our QLED monitors. We do have a 27-inch and a 32-inch. With, what we call a tactical switch, which is really, really cool. It's basically, it takes your 27 or your 32-inch monitor, and for, specific games or shooter games where you want a smaller screen or you want a more focused screen, depending on resolutions, it'll, you basically just hit the switch. It'll switch it from, let's say, 27-inch to 24 inches for, older games or, specific video games within that same screen. So you don't have to go into the settings and, mess with the actual resolution there. You basically hit the switch, it'll change it for you there. And like I said, it's QLED, basically really nice, clear picture. Amazing pictures that we released recently on our website and for sale. Actually, they just went for sale on April 30th when they were actually released.
Nice.
Before that, we had an actual 49-inch, ultra wide monitor that was QLED as well.
Nice.
So.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then along with our monitors, we do have laptops as well. So we have our current gen is 16X, which is the high-end AORUS line, and our Gigabyte G6X, which is a more reasonable, affordable, day-to-day, student gaming laptop.
Something's as fun like homework and a little Halo.
Yep.
I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to screw it up. It's so the next Sith Alexia. I just call you Lexi. Is that okay? So Lexia mentions not to mention our Monster 49 Super ultra wide OLED display. Ooh, that sounds fun. Size fine, thank you, because I was going to butcher that for a while.
I gotta say that switch to change the screen size, that is cool. I've not heard of that before.
Yeah, and the actual 32-inch one has DisplayPort, the newer DisplayPort version, which basically it's 4K at 60 hertz or a higher refresh rating. So first of its kind in terms of a monitor that's out there right now. So if you're gaming, you're looking for high refresh rate on a 4K display, we have that available.
That's awesome.
I am totally not looking at all of your monitors right now. Just saying, it's a thing I might look at. There we go. So from monitors to graphics cards and everything else. Part of that is color matching, and I really love that there's been this attention to detail from manufacturers when it comes to building these and balancing these out. Now we'll get into the graphics card in a second, but how long has that been a directive that was like, hey, let's take a look at different colors? Do you think there's going to be more colors in the future from an industry standpoint as people get further into their need for customization?
Right now, you can see other companies doing, specific, collaborations and such. And our focus right now is basically focusing on, compatibility with people's systems. So, the black colorways and the actual white colorways right now you can mix and match. They can fit in anybody's build, and it's, available for everybody. It's in terms of the industry-wide, moving forward, that would be something really cool. I mean, let's say you have a specific case, a gray case or a blue case, a red case, specific, PCBs colored to that specific case or other products would be pretty awesome on my end. So it'd be something cool to see, and hopefully the industry moves that way as well.
Yeah, I'm very jazzed that you guys have none of the white PCBs, because I'll be honest, when I rebuild my streaming PC, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going with. I have a gaming one. Now I need to do that one because I am on that the streaming PC is on that DDR3 lifestyle, and we know where that goes. Now Steve over here on the Facebook side says I have an AORUS B660 Master. Is the G Skill RAM compatible with what I have, and if not, what RAM is?
Well, we do have a compatibility list on our website. So what I would do is, encourage you to go to the actual feature page of that motherboard, and we do have, the specifications, and then there's a list of where you can actually check and see the compatibility list that we have. So it's basically memory that we've gone ahead and tested and made sure to, basically say that it does work with that specific memory or that motherboard. So on that list, if that memory is on there or specific G-Skill one, then I would say yes. Awesome.
Now, one thing to mention about your motherboards is how this fits in the case. This is what we kind of in-house call a 3/4 build, because the motherboard doesn't sit all the way against the back of the case. Paul, how is this helpful, and why is this going on?
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons for that. One, it gives us a lot of room in the back of the case to add in any extra drive. So this NV5 does have a door that swings out over here where we can put 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch drives. They're nice and tucked away in the back. And then it also has room for our power supply down here in the bottom that's covered by this power supply shroud. That way we don't see any of the cables coming out, and it just gives it a really good clean look.
We did have a question up top about 16-pin connectors from The Real Nobody, who was actually somebody. I like him. So 16-pin is a connector. What's that in reference to? I know it's been answered in the chat, but for those who might be watching the VOD, what is that?
Yeah, so I'm going to assume it's the new video card connector for like the high-end 4080s, 4090s. A lot of those have that as well. But 16 pin, I mean, any connector that's got 16 pins is a 16-pin connector. So
I dig it. Welcome in, everybody. I'm seeing all the comments. We've got the Beard of Knowledge over on the red side. And Sky is like, I want to do green PCB as if we were back in the Matrix days. No, can we never do that?
If you look at some of the early Gigabyte motherboards, they did have some, you know, a lot of color in them.
Yes.
And I specifically remember a green one back in the day. So they used to do, you know, connectors that were green or, you know, orange and this and that. So it's some of the older stuff is kind of cool to look at back, you know, to you know, reminisce and stuff. So.
James Olcott and Nasiota over there on the red side of things. Now, one thing I do, speaking of sides of things, let's take a look at this side of the case, because as you'll notice, it's kind of sitting at an angle. Now, this gives a little bit more room on the back end of the case to get more airflow in, but you'll also notice that giant square, which is underneath that piece of steel with the LED marker on it. Paul, what is that?
Yes.
Why is it there?
So this hole right here, this is where our power supply is going to go. So our power supply is going to bring air up in through the bottom and expel it out the back. So with this slant that's coming out right here, this allows more air to get sucked in our main intake fan and to our power supply as well.
Gotcha. So when you're talking about getting more air, I take it airflow is important when you're considering how to cool your case. So what's some good ideas of where to put your case once you've got your PC built?
Yeah, so it's always recommended to have your PC on like a hard surface, because this gap here, we want to keep that as clear as possible so that everything can breathe well.
Nice. Speaking of breathing, you know what makes me breathe easier? ICE graphics cards. And we've got one. It is a 4060. Now, show the people what we got. And while you're doing that, Eddie,
yes, sir.
How in love are you with your current line of graphics cards? Because they look awesome.
The Aero line is amazing. I mean, if you look at it, you know, in person, it looks even better, you know. And they stand out really well and essentially go, you know, amazing with, you know, white builds or even, you know, black and white builds. So yeah, it's really nice to look at. In 3-fan, you know, design, it's you know, big enough to, you know, essentially be the center point of your system. So
gotcha. Wow, look at that. It's a triple fan, but it's so low profile. Paul, walk us through this thing.
All right, so this was my first time looking at this card as well. I wanted to save it for the show. I love this card. This is, obviously we've got a triple fan, so it's going to cool really well, but it's also a 2-slotter, so this is going to fit in anything. We've got a single 8-pin power connector and a nice steel black backplate on there. Yeah, this card is awesome.
All right, real quick, Cage Proto did ask a question earlier that I did not quite get to because I'm slow. Cage asks, got a question about my 16-pin connector. Talked to support, and they said it might be broken, but wanted to know if you guys know if it's supposed to make a click sound when I try to take it out. They weren't sure. Good question.
So sometimes there is a little like locking tab on the top of that, so you might hear a click when putting it in. I don't think you should necessarily hear one coming out, but if it's kind of just stuck a little bit, you might hear it kind of reset back into place when you pull it out.
There we go. Now I'm noticing from a I would say a size level, this is a thinner card. I really dig it. It's very low profile on that, but it's also got 3 fans. How is this for weight right now?
So weight, this is probably a medium to light card, so we're not going to need to use an anti-sag bracket for this. If the one that comes in the case lines up, we might use it just for extra security. But yeah, a little 2-slot card. I really like this. I think cards have gotten super large, and that can be kind of frustrating when you're building now. So having a modest size card that's going to fit in most things is really nice.
Awesome. It looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. Now, from an AORUS standpoint, Eddie, you have come out with, y'all have some really great range of graphics cards for a multitude of different purposes. What have been some of the, when it comes to some of the favorite things you've seen happening with your guys' designs?
So if you look at our master line, it has an actual like LED screen in the corner, and it's really cool. I mean, you can put temperature, you can put you know, custom GIFs, and I've seen some people like play around with it and do, you know, our AORUS chibi, which is a, you know, little mascot, and play around with that, you know, matching up with their LCD screens on their coolers and such. So those are really nice to you know, a really nice feature to have on the master line, which is the top of line ones. You know, the arrow line here, you know, if you're not too much into the whole RGB side of it, it's very minimal. It does have some RGB, but around the actual logo itself. So if you're going for that minimalist RGB look, these are, you know, the arrow line is very nice as well.
Now, I'll tell you what is also nice is when people end up getting codes worth extra entries. Ivory gave one out over on the kick side, and that is BMIC. That is Bravo Michael Indigo Charlie WR3C. That means working really 3 Charlie or Whiskey Romeo 3 Charlie. That is your code for right now, and who knows, there may be more. Nasty Yoda, DJ Blue Comedian, can you ask Eddie if Gigabyte is releasing a White Arrow AMD card? I can ask. I can't guarantee there'll be an answer.
That would be awesome. In terms of what I know and what I can say, I would say it's that'd be cool. But I can't guarantee or I can't. I say that we might be releasing one or not. Essentially, I don't know.
You can neither confirm or deny these potential inquiries. Yeah. But for more information,
I would say that would look cool, really cool.
Please keep an eye on all Gigabytes and AORUS social media to find out what's coming up. And of course, if you guys want to see and take a look at all the product line that they have, and trust me, I'm looking at it right now just from a consumer standpoint. There are so many options over there. I absolutely love it. It is gigabyte.com. You can check it out. I put the links in chat. I dig it. So, obviously, now look at these. Now, for our power supply, let's talk about that for a quick second, because power supplies are always fun. Now, this is an 850 watt MSI Mag 850GL. What I love about this power supply is the connectors. So, Paul, why are these amazing?
So first off, it's fully modular, so I like that. Fully modular means none of the cables are pre-soldered in, so we have these ports right here that our cables will plug into, so that's what I'm getting out and straightening out. I really like that these cables are white as well. It's going to match the aesthetic nicely.
Mr. Ant 13, does somebody know if the AORUS code has dropped yet? Not quite yet. But that is entirely up to our friend Eddie.
Yeah. I would say check out our community, like Discord and Facebook group, and some of our socials. They're gonna go up. I do have codes, but they will go up soon.
Hey Eddie, you mentioned that you have a Discord. Where can people go for that?
Yeah, it's basically the official AORUS Discord, and I can give you a link here in a few minutes if you'd like, or you can go to our Instagram page. And at the very top where all the highlighted stuff is, we have our Discord, our Facebook group, and if you need support, we have a story there basically with the link to our support page as well. But here, I will...
Nice. I like it.
Yep.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's basically... discord.com invite /AORUS is the actual link.
There we go. Discord.gg/AORUS. That's where you want to go. You want to get into a great community of like-minded AORUS enthusiasts, which should now be a t-shirt. Here we go.
Yep. Yeah, the community there is growing, and people are active, and we're looking into some updates and like a rebuild. So more engagement, more activities, and we currently do have some events going on there as well. If you guys want to check that out and join.
Check it out, people. Head on over. Now, we do have a question coming in from The Real Nobody who says, is there a gaping hole in front of the fan at the bottom? So, actually, what's on the bottom, you'll notice that our MV5s are elevated. So, it's kind of like it's at an angle, so you get more air coming in from the back. It's going to push the air up. Now, we have air coming in for two different things at the bottom, and that's going to be the power supply, which is in its own independent area, and then our other lower fan, which is going to come straight up. Now, Paul, when it comes to cooling things, why is it important to make sure that you've got really, really good airflow?
Well, the case fans are going to make sure that all the components inside on your motherboard and all the other ones as well are going to stay cool, and you want them set up in the proper way. So we're going to have 4 intake fans. They're going to be these 3 on the back here, and then 1 on the bottom. And then we've got 3 exhausting on the top through the radiator and 1 in the rear that you can see right there.
Gotcha. Now, by the way, taking a look at the our I would say our power supply shroud. Is that the right terminology for it?
Yeah.
So this has this beautiful LED line that's going to run across the front of it, but it also separates your PSU from the rest of the PC. Now, I know there's a reason for this, but you know who's going to tell us? Paul.
Yeah, so that PSU shroud, there's a couple things for it. I think the main reason to have one is just an overall good aesthetic look. So it does cover up our power supply, so we won't see the cables coming out, and the RGB strip that's going to match with the case is great. Also, though, the power supply doesn't generate a lot of heat, but it does generate some. So none of that heat from the power supply is going to get into the main body of the case.
Speaking of things that are in the bodies of the case, let's also talk about a little bit on tie-up, because that is, I don't know, Eddie, how are you with cable management? Because I'm horrible.
Oh, dude, no. My favorite thing, and I'm a stickler for cable management. So I'm like looking at this thing, and I'm like, yes.
Right. Listen, Zach is
awesome. It looks freaking awesome. And cable ties wise, I go through a lot of them just to make sure everything looks tidy.
Well, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there are white Velcro straps on the back as well, which adds to the helpful element, because people like us might just need that. Zach, how do these help when it comes to building PCs?
So they help you really align your cables exactly where you need them to be. We do have these nice rubber grommets that you can shove our cables through. So it just makes it a lot cleaner, and everything is just lined up exactly where it needs to be, and it just kind of like push through a nice open hole.
Gotcha. Oh, James Allcut up on the red side asking if I could repeat that. Yes, that code is BMIC, like B, Mike, not Mikey, but BMIC, and that is dash, and then you've got WR3C. So Whiskey Romeo 3 Charlie. Nasty Otis like, cable management, never heard of it. That's the thing. Like, it was funny because Eddie's gonna love this story. When I did my first PC, which I want to say was in 2015-ish, I took a picture of it and sent it to the guys, and I was like, "This is what's inside my very first PC," and they all looked at me in absolute abject horror, because the cable management was terrible. So let's talk about your first time building a PC, Eddie. How was that?
Oh man, like the very first PC was it was just all the cables shoved in where the power supply, opening was. I didn't know better, but recently, with all the other builds that I've done, it's pretty much, it takes the longest time for me, and I make sure that it's tidy. So, I have cable ties and cable tie cutters, and that's honestly, I spend more time on cable management than actually putting it together.
Right. Coming in from the TikTok side, Beard of Knowledge, hello sir, mentions Gigabyte's always dependable and long lasting. I've always trusted their products and never been disappointed. I'm going to agree with that. You're aware of how long lasting the competitive marketability of your products is wild because of how long they last.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like our ultra durable line, it's made tough essentially for longevity. With specific components on there that's going to last a long time. Even the higher end stuff, with the AORUS line and the Ice line and the Master line, those get the best components that we can get on there, so you have a PC that's going to last you a long time. Even way into like more, GPU lines and stuff like that, so you don't have to update stuff, that often.
Yeah, and honestly, I've always loved everything that I've ever had. Now, I will say, while your issue was cable management, my issue was figuring out how to put in because I had let's be honest, my basic motherboard at the time, which didn't have an IO shield, and I had to use the little metal thingy. Eddie, I had to take that darn thing out 6 different times after I mounted it, because I realized, I need a plug here. I need a plug there. That's not supposed to be inside the Ethernet port. Yeah. No, 7 hours to do something that probably should have taken, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
When I see these guys. Now, the one thing about these guys that I love is the attention to detail. And there's this thing on the back of the motherboard that you can see in the case. What is that?
So that is our fan controller box. So for these Game DS fans, they come with these controller boxes, and we can fit 8 fans in each box. You can daisy chain them together if your case has more, but we have 8 fans in this build, so it's the perfect amount. So all these fans, we've got a whole bunch of different RGB settings that will be controlled with a remote. You can change all the lights. You can turn the RGB off if you want it off for a little bit. A whole bunch you can do with this.
Who would turn their RGB off? On the average, when it comes to AORUS products, how much extra XP does your lighting give players?
100%.
There we go. Perfect. You heard it here. The brighter, the better. Now, wait. Oh, look at this. Now, here's the interesting part is, like, we've seen when we've done non-modular power supplies, there's that giant tie-up issue. But now when we've got the modular, because we don't have to have all that space, we've got extra space in the bottom. Now, when it comes to that, Paul, what are some other features that are benefits for having a modular power supply?
So the big thing is just making your tie-up a little bit cleaner and a little bit easier. We're just going to use the cables that we need for this build, and the extras are going to be included in the accessories bag. So whoever gets this, if you upgrade later on and you end up needing more SATAs or more power connectors, you'll have them if you need them.
Awesome. Now, there are multiple connectors on the ends of these cords. Do you have to put them in order?
So each one of these, they are pinned differently. So even like our 6+2, which is an 8-pin for our video card that we'll be using, and our 4+4 for the CPUs, those are both 8-pin connectors, but they are pinned differently, and the actual squares on the connectors are keyed in a certain way where you can't plug in a CPU power into a video card. So you can plug these in any order you want. Sometimes we start with CPU and then go to 24-pin and so on, but you can do it in any order as long as you've got the cable going to the right spot.
There we go. Speaking of cables in the right spot, Eddie, if I say IDE, does that stress you out?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I remember my first PC that I ever had, not necessarily built, was a 486DX2, and had an IDE, hard drive in there, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So I remember those days.
Oh my goodness! And the sad thing is, I still have ADE hard drives with data on them. It's ridiculous. Lady Death over on the purple side. Hello. Oh my goodness. Panagolitis. Nope, that's not how that's said. Panagiotis. I'm just going to call you Panna. Hi, Pan. How are you? My name's Peter. Just kidding. It says, good evening, everyone from Greece. What? Well,
oh, wow.
From Greece. Hello.
Nice.
It's your first time here on the channel. Welcome in, my friend. Well, now the name makes sense. There you go. We do know about the little looping thing that some people are hearing. Let's jump. It's Scarecrow, who is the person who helped design all of our stuff, says, I hate IDE. Let's be fair. Everybody hated IDE. But they didn't hate IDE when it came with a code that is CRBN-254. S as in Sierra, S as in sick, S as in sure. That's fun. And that is going to be given out by our wonderful friend, Ivory. I love this top-down look. Now, can you give me a little background on the logo? And it's just a personal question because I love what I feel like is it looks like a hawk, looks like a bird, but I also feel like it's an Egyptian hieroglyph. Talk about that for a second because I've always loved it and I feel like it ties into the beautiful stuffed animal on your desk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally missed the question. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about the logo because it's on the motherboard.
Oh, the AORUS. Yeah.
And you have a stuffed animal version of it, which is awesome.
Yes, I'm sorry. So the logo, the AORUS line, is derived. Has a pretty cool story. It is derived from the Egyptian god Horus, which, funny enough, the PC line from your guys' side is Egyptian too, right? And you guys are actually, it's actually named Horus there. So, but yeah, it's basically a falcon that we use. It's a falcon head as our mascot, and we have, like, on the back of that case panel, it's our AORUS robot. Basically all mech, cool, Gundammed out, right? And this here is our little mascot here that we have in terms of a plushie. It's AORUS Chibi.
There we go.
And funny enough, this plushie here actually went with me to PAX East.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, and I took them all around, even on our day off. I think my favorite thing was on our day off, even before the event started, was I found some Boston firefighters just walking down the street, and I go, "Hey, can you hold our mascot for us? And let me take a picture." And they just stopped, and they're like, "Wait, what?"
That
I had to
is
explain.
awesome.
I'm like, I work for a hardware company. This is our mascot. Just want to take a picture with you guys. And yeah, they held it in their hands, and I took a picture, posted it up on our Discord, channel, and people over there were loving all the photo dumps that I was doing. Basically, I was taking pictures of, the event beforehand, all the setup during the event, and even after the teardown. So it was kind of fun to share that whole experience with them, and take the chibi at all around Boston, the event, and take pictures of cosplayers in different places. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
Zach, real quick, Zach's touching something that I know he's been wanting to talk about. So we're going to be popping this graphics card into its PCIe thing. Zach, what are some things to remember or keep in mind when you're doing this?
So we want to leave our lock open. If we have a motherboard with a button, that doesn't really matter that much, but I do love the big emphasis on the lock, because we have a nice big heatsink here with a reinforced PCI slot, which is very sick for how big of graphics cards we're getting today. But this little clip up top here helps us to unlock and lock it back together. So I thoroughly appreciate that a lot.
Easy to reach, easy to do.
That is our easy latch, or PCI easy latch.
I love
Which is
that.
really
so
helpful.
helpful.
And then on the NVMe, didn't talk about it, but that's actually a quick release. It's on a spring, so when you push down
What?
on it, it opens up and then locks back once your NVMe gets locked in place. So some
That's
of them are
awesome.
you actually have to physically change the swivel. This has a spring load on it, so it's pretty cool.
Speaking of things that are cool, Sai just had a little bit of a heart attack earlier when we said I went from ISA hard cards to separate IDE drives, and we went backwards. Listen, I mean, everybody, we all make mistakes. Sorcerer Von Croy did have a great question. I wanted to make sure I captured this. It says, with this case, can you have extra standard hard disk drives and extra NVMEs? Paul?
Yeah, you can. So there's a door that goes on the back of this case that we'll put on once we get everything set up and the panels on. But it's basically goes right here. I'll show you right now. Goes right here on these. And
Okay.
it will swing out. You can see we've got these holes. These are holes for 2.5 inch and 3.5 inch drives.
Awesome. And all this time, I thought it was ventilation. Just kidding. I actually knew that one. But yeah, there we go. Now, as far as AORUS' products go, what other things do you offer besides just motherboards and graphics cards?
So the monitors was a big thing, and then the laptops. We also do have a line of AIOs that we carry, basically our Water Force line, and those are the main components that we currently have. So and available to purchase, like on Amazon and Newegg. So
You got some really cool AIOs, to be honest. I'm looking at them right now. I was like, AIO, I love it. AIO.
yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, let's go.
Like this Aero card, what all is that offered on? Is that on every 40 series card out there for you guys? Is that just
currently, yeah,
specific
it's
non-TI, non-supers, or is that every card?
It's actually right now it's offered on the 4080, the 4070 Ti, the 4070 supers, the super lines,
Nice.
And the 4060. Some of I think the 4050s don't have it, but to go along with the Aero line, that's the higher end AORUS lineup, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do have an Eagle lineup that's the more affordable line, and it is also white.
Nice.
We do have 2 different versions of the white graphics cards, but this one is the higher end one with the silver accents and such. So yeah, but currently, the Super line currently has the arrow feature, the white PCB and the white shrouds, and then the regular ones from basically the regular 40 series. Some of them do have the arrow line as well.
All right, very cool.
By the way, we got a friend over on the YouTube side, the red side, said that I have an AORUS Amp 900 mouse pad. It's so good. Love it. There we go. I'm also loving this. Again, the design here is incredible. I also want a plushie, and I'm just going to throw that in there. But I did love what Sai was pointing out, is that no more tiny screws and no more sheared heads off of M.2 screws. From a building standpoint, Zach, how fun is that? How important is that when it comes to putting things together?
It's too easy. It's too easy. Some people want challenges with their builds. Other people just want to stick it all together and not have to touch a screwdriver.
Whereas, and all I want to do is just put the parts in the box, shake it, and then put it up, and that should be done, right? That's the Mary Poppins of ideals, but it'll never happen. Shaking PC. Don't shake the PC. There we go. Gosh, this is looking great. Let's take a look at that top, by the way. You can see the hole for some of the add-ons that are on this case. Look at that. AORUS and CLX coming together. It's Horus times 2. There we go. Now, there is a little rectangular hole cut in the very top of that. Paul, what's that for?
Yes, that is for our 2 USB 3.0 ports on the top and our Type-C, and then also our power button, reset button. There's some fan buttons and a headset and mic port on there as well.
Nice. Awesome. Now, the one thing I do want to point out, because we love talking about this port, because this is super fun. Once this is built for the second time, where's it going to go?
So once this is built and turned on, we're going to take it to our testing and integration department. So that's where we're going to get everything going. So the first thing we'll do is get into the BIOS of the machine. We'll make sure our RAM speed is set correctly. All of our storage devices are showing up. Maybe mess around with a couple of their settings depending on what we got going on. And then after the BIOS has been set, we load the machine. So the operating system, whoever wins this, if you want some games loaded on it, we can do that there as well. And then once that's all loaded, it goes through our 12-hour testing or burn-in process where we make sure that everything's stable. So we have a few different benchmarking softwares that we use, and that basically runs it through its paces. If something is going to fail on it, it's going to fail there most likely. So that allows us to, if that does happen, we can fix it and make sure you get a stable machine.
That is awesome. Now, if I happen to have an error code that says HCLX-3RTS, what's that mean?
No, Paul, I was right here. Yeah.
There we go. You have another code. It is HCLX-3 Romeo Tango Sierra 3 RTS 3 real-time strategy, which also happens to be the old Battlestar Galactica game that I didn't realize that I was very fortunate that somebody bought me and I have to trade in for all the Alien games. But so one thing I always get asked that I love to throw out there is, Eddie, when it comes to gaming, obviously you're a gamer.
Definitely.
What are some of your favorite games?
I'm actually all into Helldivers right now. Now that we can play it again.
Right.
Yeah, Helldivers 2 is pretty much taking up all my free time. I was playing WoW, the whole back and forth with WoW Classic. I go back to it every now and then. It's fun, the whole community thing is fun for me. But single players is Helldivers 2, and then Fallout has been one of the games since the whole series on Netflix came out. I'm sorry, Amazon Video.
One of them.
One of the streaming services. Me and my buddies watched the entire series and the first series, and then we all started playing Fallout 4. So
yeah, absolutely. And the show is amazing, but when it comes to Classic, Paul.
Oh yeah, were you playing Season of Discovery?
I was playing Season of Discovery.
Same.
Yes.
Yeah, I am super into it. I'm like main tanking our guild. It's like raid logging right now until the next phase comes out. But we got through Sunken Temple in an hour and 5 minutes last week. So
wow, that's awesome.
We're sweating, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Warrior tank fight. It's kind of rough, but yeah. They babied the shamans this go around, which is good, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm a hunter. I've always been a hunter, so it's like I like standing in the back and just shooting arrows at stuff.
Yep, I got an alt priest and an alt hunter, and the hunter's the most fun class. So
yeah.
Whereas I'm the screamer. I'm the one in the back going, no, leave me alone. Oh my God. Yeah, that's me. CR, by the way, mentioned you have a B450 AORUS Pro Wi-Fi and absolutely love it. It's best looking motherboard I've ever had. It's amazing lighting as well. You know, they love to hear that. Nice. Now, speaking of things that we hear, we also love to use another version of our stuff, and that is called seeing. You know what I want to see? I want to see how this thing lights up. Here we go. Are you ready?
Nice.
Oh man, these always look so
again. Look at that is so cool. And again, I love how the RGB, like, it reflects off of all the white inside, so you get that added element of color. Let's once again go through everything that is inside of this amazing PC, and we'll talk about the package you can win. This is a Horus NV5 custom AORUS skin design with an Intel Core i5-14600KF processor mounted on a Gigabyte Z790 AORUS Elite Axe Ice motherboard. 32 gigs of DDR5 6000 along with an RTX 4060 brought to you by guess who? And we've got a 1 terabyte A-Data Legend M.2 operating system drive so that you can get your operating system real fast. It's going to be cooled by a CLX Quench 360 closed liquid cooler and 8 GameDeus AORUS M2 ARGB fans, and it's all powered by an 850 watt MSI Mag A850 GL 80 plus gold power supply. Now, along with the PC, if you end up winning it, which as Ivory pointed out in other chats, isn't for a good another several weeks, you're also going to be walking away with a Beacon mix crate and a Beacon mic. So for all sorts, everybody who's loving content creation, whether you're up and coming, already there, growing, as we all do, these are really helpful tools, and I love it because one of you is going to walk away with this, and it's going to look absolutely incredible. So with that being said, I want to start by saying thank you to Eddie and thank you to AORUS for not only being here but also partnering with us on this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and thank you for having me on the stream. I really appreciate it, and it was tons of fun, honestly. Hopefully we can do this again.
Oh, honestly, so do I.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, since you do socials and community management, where can people find out more about your people and your stuff?
Yes. So on socials, Twitter and Instagram, and then TikTok, you can go to AORUS_NA for the North America channels, or on Instagram, it's actually AORUS.NA. We're trying to fix that. And then Discord is basically Discord /invite/AORUS. And we're also on Facebook, and we have a Facebook group that you can join as well. It's our AORUS PC community.
Nice.
Awesome.
So we're all over the place.
Well, again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for all of the fun things, including the super slimline graphics card. I'm digging that a lot. Now, as always, this show happens in 2 parts. In just a few, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, you're going to spend the afternoon with Zach as he continues with all sorts of awesome building stuff. I don't know what this was, but all right. Now, this show happens every Tuesday and Thursday starting at 11 a.m. Pacific. That is 2 Eastern. You can find us across all the platforms, and on Tuesdays, we may give on codes over here on the green side. That is kick.com/CLXgaming. On Thursdays, Ivory will be dropping codes over on the purple side. That is twitch.tv/CLXgamingtv. And you can find us, of course, for other codes and to keep up on the latest and greatest with what's going on and with CLX Gaming at YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. At CLX Gaming, you can also pop into a community of like-minded PC enthusiasts, code hunters, and more importantly, gamers. at discord.gg/clxgaming. Now, the other place you can find codes is on my stream, and I'll give one out today once Zach is done putting all sorts of cool things together. But with that being said, I want to say thank you once again to Eddie, and of course, Kyle and Jason in production. And on behalf of Paul and Zach, I'm DJ Blue PDX. Don't go away. There's more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Awesome job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What is up, Scooby Gang? I hope everybody is having a fantastic day today. I hope everybody's excited for this awesome, wicked, sweet month of May. Right? Yeah, we're in May. Yeah, month of May, sweet giveaway. I thoroughly enjoyed that, Sasco. That was a very fun, all white parts. I don't think I've ever built anything that white before. That was very cool. Alrighty, with us today, I hope you guys have brought all of your questions. If you guys are ready for the pop quiz, I'm ready to give that out. Pencils up and sit down, please. Haha, just kidding. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to shout them out. Let me know what they are. I will do my very best to answer them. If I cannot answer them, I will, see what answer we can come up with. Alrighty. Today, we've got some pretty cool equipment. I have with me a Meg X670E Ace motherboard. This is a very cool, very nice motherboard. We're going to be slapping in a very cool 4070 Ti Super. This is a 16 gigabyte edition graphics card. So pretty much any game on the market that you're wanting to play, this would be a very, 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 very good starter graphics card or upgrade card. We have a 1000 watt EVGA GT modular because we're going to be slapping in some black cable mods on this build. We have with us today a 4 terabyte hard drive, 64 gigabytes of 6000 megahertz memory. We have a 2 terabyte 980 Pro Samsung NVMe. How are you, Cage? I hope everybody's doing phenomenally well. And the creme de la creme is a Ryzen 9 7950X3D. Go over all of my notes. Yes, that is